All right. Well, how are you doing?
Marvelous.
Good. So, this is my father, everybody. But we're going to pretend that you are an expectant father. So, I understand you're trying to make a decision on where to give birth with your wife. So, you have the option of a hospital, a birth center, or a home birth setting. Do you know the differences between those three?
You know, we've talked about it, but we really haven't come to a firm conclusion of what we're going to do. We've been kind of wanting to think about maybe possibly at home, but maybe kind of walk me through it.
Okay, wonderful. So basically the home birth setting is your wife would be a candidate if she is low risk. So midwives are the ones that are going to be taking care of you throughout your whole prenatal experience. So basically the advantages are that you have the freedom to push, to birth wherever you would like. You can give birth in the water. And the interventions and the outcomes are pretty much better than in the hospital. Some disadvantages would be you don't have access to pain medication. So if that's something that your wife is interested in, then she might want to consider giving birth in a hospital. But other than that, you know, giving birth in the home birth setting, it's a very comfortable experience, and you just get to be right where you do everything.
Very natural, that it sounds like.
It is. So do you have any questions about the hospital?
No, just on one side of it, just thinking, if my wife, I guess I would have to do some research on her pain tolerances to find that out, because that would be the worst thing, to find her maybe halfway through it and find that she just didn't know what to do with the pain. Mm-hmm. So how do you kind of walk through that part of it?
Yeah, so transfer of care is actually due to exhaustion. Maternal exhaustion is the number one reason why women will transfer to a hospital while they're in labor. It's okay, thank you, sister. So that's pretty much the main reason why. And it's totally cool. You can choose to, switch where you want to give birth at any point.
So when you say transfer, would that be like you could maybe start at home or wherever a birthing center, but then at that point, what would you do?
We would either get in the car and drive if it was non-emergent. If it is an emergency, then we would call emergency medical services, and then they would transport you,
So like an ambulance or something would come. Okay.
The only instance that would happen, it would be very rare if the cord would prolapse, if there would be a, indicator that the uterus is having a rupture, there's abnormal bleeding, something like that. But that's very rare. So some of the advantages to birthing in the hospital are that you have access to pain medication. You also have access to, more life-saving equipment should some kind of emergency arise, which I think a lot of husbands and dads really value. The difference is that the obstetrician will come in pretty much at the last minute to catch the baby. So if you're okay with that, a lot of providers, they're on a call schedule. So you also might not have your obstetrician that you've been seeing prenatally at the time of birth. In the home birth setting, you will always be attended by the midwife that you have seen your entire pregnancy. So for a lot of women, that's really reassuring to know that they'll have that same person there throughout the whole experience.
Amazing.
All right. Do you have any other questions? Do you feel like you could make an informed decision on the information that you've been given?
I probably could, and I'd probably have to maybe read up on it. Is there any literature that I could read that would maybe help me to learn a little bit more about?
Absolutely. I do have some handouts that I will give you, and some websites and different books that you can look into if you would like to do a little bit more research.
Sure.
But yeah. Sounds like you're on the right track.
Sounds like you're well informed. And have you done quite a few births at birthing centers or in a home settings? What's your background?
So I've done births in actually every setting. I've attended births in the home, hospital, and birth center setting. I will say that the births in the community, so out of hospital setting, tend to be a little bit more, they follow a more physiologic aspect of birth where we're not really relying on interventions or on medical technology to enhance the physiologic process. It's allowing the woman's body to just do what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the hospital setting can be a beautiful place to give birth as well. So it all depends on what you feel comfortable with.
So do you find that, like, if it's your first pregnancy, that some women are good with having it at home, or is that something where they would like to be in a hospital setting for the first one?
It's totally case by case. The first one can be a little bit of a longer experience. They say on average 16 to 24 hours. Okay. But it's always up in the air. We have seen women that have had 2-3 babies that have been in labor for days. So nothing is set in stone. But it really depends on where the woman is going to feel most comfortable, is where she's going to have most likely the least interventions and the most, relaxed and supported environment. It all depends on what, the two of you agree on. What
kind of a setting do you try and set up for these?
Like equipment-wise?
Well, so equipment, and are you bringing in any other things that are kind of trying to make it to where there's a calming?
Yeah, so, in any setting, there is the option to have aromatherapy, to have,
So what's aromatherapy? Walk me through that.
So that would be, a diffuser that has essential oils and water, so it's making the,
And do you pick the scent that you would prefer, or do you kind of bring that in? How does that work?
I have so many oils, so you can pick which ones that you like. There's acupressure, massage, you can use the birth ball, walking, using gravity is amazing. Some hospitals have showers, so you can, relax in the shower. Although one disadvantage of the hospitals, they do like to keep a continuous electronic fetal monitoring, so they'll, put it on your baby. Some nurses and doctors are okay with giving you 30 minutes off of the monitor to do different things, so that's always an option. But yeah, as far as equipment goes, as midwives in the out-of-hospital setting, we have all of the same, emergency life-saving equipment that you would have in the hospital for the most part. So we're able to do a full resuscitation of the infant. If the mom needs IVs and fluids and medications, we have all of that as well.
Wow. Well, that's very interesting. You're very up to speed on all of this, sounds like. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And we will make our decision, and I will get back to you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
All right.